In this race for the White House, I am the law and order candidate. I know the time for action has come. The American people will come first once again. I have joined the political arena so that the powerful can no longer beat up on people who cannot defend themselves. Nobody knows the system better than me. Which is why I alone can fix it. We can accomplish these great things and so much more. All we need to do is start believing in ourselves and in our country again. Start believing. It is time to show the whole world that America is back, bigger and better and stronger than ever before. This is the legacy of Hillary Clinton. Death, destruction, terrorism, and weakness. But Hillary Clinton's legacy does not have to be America's legacy. Let's defeat her in November. Okay? The most important difference between our plan and that of our opponent is that our plan will put America first. I am asking for your support tonight so that I can be your champion in the White House. And I will be your champion. I am your voice. So to every parent who dreams for their child, and every child who dreams for their future, I say these words to you tonight. I am with you, I will fight for you, and I will win for you.
Start believing, he said, but did his speech send the right message?
Here to debate conservative radio talk show host Dr.Gina and Democratic strategist and CEO of All In Together, Lauren Chevet. Good morning, ladies. Thanks again for being with us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Our pleasure.
All right, so Lauren, one of the longest speeches in convention history, I think almost 76 minutes in all. A lot of undecided voters watching this, hoping that it could help make their decision. What do you think the strongest moments were for Donald Trump last night?
Actually, I happen to think the strongest moment for Donald Trump last night was Ivanka. I think she was an incredibly effective surrogate for her, articulate, thoughtful, warm, and painted a picture of her father that's very different, frankly, than he painted of himself. I mean, the tone of his speech relative to the tone of his daughter's introduction were so dramatically different. I was joking and tweeting last night, Ivanka for president. I think she just set herself up for a long and illustrious career.
You and many other people, probably.
Yeah, a lot of people would agree with you on that. One of the things that Ivanka called her father in her speech, she said that he is the people's nominee. And then when Donald Trump was speaking, he said that, he is there for those people who are forgotten, the forgotten men and women. Gina, what do you think about his speech?
I thought it was excellent. I think it's so good that he pointed out how he really is, while Hillary Clinton's message is always going to be all about victimization and identity politics and the whole poor me thing, Donald Trump spelled out tonight that his message to the American people is that he's for me, that he wants us all to be as rich as he is. I think that's a great message, especially when you contrast it with the Democrats' continued and tired old message of we're going to spend more money when we've already doubled the debt, right, to $19 trillion. We're going to, do all the same old tired policies that haven't worked in the past, haven't brought anybody out of poverty, haven't improved our educational status, and haven't really helped anybody. There's no accomplishment Hillary can talk about and say that she's actually done, while you have Donald Trump, who has created so many jobs and wants to do the same thing for our country.
So, Lauren, I've heard from a lot of folks that say, I like what Donald Trump has to say, but I just don't know how he's going to get there. I'm waiting for specifics from him. Did he give people those specifics last night?
I mean, I don't think he did. I mean, there were a bunch of points that I thought were difficult to explain. I mean, when we talk about being the law and order candidate, first of all, we've spent unprecedented resources on law and order since 9/11. You know, trillions of dollars pumped into the system. It's hard to understand, like, what else are we proposing? And obviously, of course, the presidency doesn't control the police in state and local municipalities. So that's one area where I'd like to understand more. I think certainly I'd like to understand more about his economic proposals, which are still pretty vague. And then I think certainly, you know, I appreciate that he called out support for the LGBTQ community, but he also chose Mike Pence as his running mate, and Mike Pence supported, you know, an anti-gay religious freedom bill in Indiana. So it's hard to reconcile those things. And I think, look, that's what happens in conventions and big convention speeches. They're usually somewhat short on details and long on vision, and that was what he was there to do. But, you know, the next few months he's going to have to explain these things. I think for undecided voters, if for no one else. Certainly there are people who support him without the details. But I think if he really does want to win over undecideds, which he made a direct appeal to last night in appealing to Bernie Sanders voters, I think that's going to be a really hard road for him to climb.
Yeah. One of the other.
I don't know. I sure met a lot of Bernie supporters at the convention this week. A lot of people that had been former Bernie supporters were here today, all happy, all this week, supporting Donald Trump. So I think he is resonating with independent voters. And let's not forget. And let's not forget that he got more primary voters than any other candidate in history, and way more than the Democrats had this time around. So I think that this will end up well for him.
Well, primary demographics are not the same as general election demographics, and the reality is, and this is why it's such a challenging time for Republicans to win the presidency, and that's regardless of candidates, that the demographics of the country have skewed Democratic in a lot of the most important battleground states, and so he has to win more than his fair share. He does have to win independents, and he's going to have a big job to do there. I know there are some Sanders supporters who have turned to him. I mean, that's just sheer numbers, and Republicans and Democrats agree on those numbers. They don't add up easily for anyone running on the Republican side of the ticket. And by the way, you know, millennials, the challenge is going to be, and I thought it was awesome that Ivanka did sort of a shout out to millennial voters who are undecided. They understand that that's critical, and the challenge is going to be that millennials are the most diverse generation in history, and they're overwhelmingly supportive of inclusive policies and LGBT rights.
And you're definitely
that's going to be very hard to convince them of.
Here as we enter the general election, and it's anybody's game moving forward.
Yeah, it definitely is. All right, Gina, Lauren, thanks for being with us.
We'll watch.